Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the main stage of HR Week 2021, and I think you'll agree with me. What a great week we are having so far. Remember, Monday, all about strategic HR, then people-centric HR on Tuesday. Yesterday, digital day, digital HR. Today, HR development. And guess what? Again, tomorrow, the last day of the week of our 5-day HR extravaganza, all about C-level, devoted to C-level. So listen, if you are here for just one day, if you've just chosen one day's today and you want to buy a ticket for tomorrow, there's still time to buy your ticket to enjoy a full day of C-level, everything devoted to C-level. And those of you that are interested, I'm actually a storytelling coach, a speaking coach and TEDx coach, virtual speaking specialist. I'll be sharing a very short, sharp, quick, short and sweet session, about 20 minutes, 25 minutes tomorrow afternoon, all about speaking online, all about creating that chemistry, getting that connection together, and storytelling, how we can use that more in our teams, in our communication, taken directly from my training. So if you're interested in that, remember, tomorrow afternoon, 4:00, a short, sharp, sweet session on virtual speaking, presence, and storytelling. But for now, right now, we move over to a panel discussion, a healthy discussion, all about how engaging learning really can inspire behavioral change. I'm really intrigued, again, as much as you are, really to hear what the insights are on this one. In fact, so please help me welcome, a warm welcome to our virtual playground right now, instructional designer at AIHR, the moderator for this session, Nikola Velichkovic. Nikola, I think you're coming through. I can see you.
Hi, Peter.
I can see you. I can hear you. You got a great background. I'm not sure where you are. Are you in? Tell us, where are you?
I'm in a studio that's designed specifically for this occasion.
It was designed just for this occasion. So as soon as it's finished, it's pulled down until the next time. Right, where are you? Where are you exactly? What country?
We're based in Rotterdam in the Netherlands.
Rotterdam in the Netherlands. Wonderful. Okay, so clearly this is, we've already had Malaysia already this morning. We've had Vanajan in the north of Croatia and now over to Netherlands. So, Nicola, listen, towards the end of this session, questions that we get from our viewers, I'll jump back in and pose those questions to you and your panelists. But for the meantime, Nicola, it's over to you.
Thank you very much, Peter. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this panel discussion. As Peter announced, we're going to talk about engaging learning and how engaging learning can create behavioral change. But before we get started, I want to take a moment to introduce some of our panelists who will participate in the discussion and share their experience. So joining the conversation today, we have Aleksandar Tošović, who worked in various roles within Avon, Coca-Cola, Frizz, and after that, he decided to apply his experience to here at AIHR, where he's the product owner and a thought leader. And you had an opportunity to listen to his talk this morning as well. Joining the call is Ivana Ukas. She has over 20 years of experience in different HR roles, and she spent the last 7 years in the IT industry, using data and technology to drive business results. She's also very passionate about learning and personal growth. So Ivana, welcome, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
As well, we have Ivana Jandrić, who is a digital learning expert. She's won several awards in 2018 and 2019 for excellence in blended learning and best blended learning solutions. She's worked with various clients in different industries, and she combines different elements of digital learning and as well as the human connection to really create programs and products that inspire change. So welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining this conversation.
Thank you, Nick.
Thank you.
So just to get us off as a context, in the past 18 years, I think we saw a tremendous shift in the learning industry, both in the needs and expectations of individuals and organizations. And we saw digital learning absolutely skyrocket in the past 18 months. I think we've all experienced this. So with that in mind, our goal for the conversation today is to really investigate how can we create immersive and engaging learning experiences that later create behavioral changes that inspire benefits for the actual organization. So I want to also invite you, the viewers listening at home, to join in the conversation and ask your questions. As Peter said in the beginning, he will help us facilitate your questions to the panelists. but we really want to hear what is it that you want to know and how can we help you and perhaps answer some of your questions. All right, with that being said, let's jump right into the discussion. So one of the things that we've noticed in the past 18 months, and I think this has been a trend that's been going on for longer, but it just amplified in the last 18 months, is a shift from learning events to learning journeys. We see learning becoming an everyday aspect of the employees in the organization. So maybe this is a good question for you, Alex, to start us off is, how do you comment on this trend? And then what is the infrastructure and support that is needed to really enable these journeys within the organization?
Yeah. Well, my favorite question, and I think learning has moved. We've been disrupted by learning, so we just had to speed up the digitalization process we've had so far. And I think we're moving for more, and I don't know, Ivana and Ivana, if you will agree with that as well. We've been, initially learning was like, what training do I need? Can you build this, build that? And then we needed an LMS, and then let's build that LMS. So we sort of had these puzzle pieces of different things we sort of rushed to building. Whereas in fact, now I think we need to look at learning more in the shape of an experience for the learner. So not just the tooling, not just the content that we have, but really how does someone interact with learning? Where does it start? How does it fit into the flow of work? And really having the design thinking principles in the way, like as a base of how we design learning in the organization. And I think if we manage to sort of understand what is the environment of the employee, how do they learn, where they learn, how do they engage with us, what is the tooling that they are using, and to build that out in a journey and how they actually implement that in their work. This is something that I think we should aspire to, and I think we are also trying. And this is a challenge where we sometimes have is that the organizations are very much seeing sometimes L&D function as this continuous content delivery a function where like we need this training, or we need some presentation skills. Can you give us some communication skills? Or now we need to fix this. So it's sort of patching it. And this is where we need to stay, to take a step back and say, listen, we need to really want to make sure we support the organization strategically through the full learning experience that we should be able to provide. It sounds easy to say and much more difficult to execute. But there is more to learning than a training or content or a workshop. And I think this is where we can keep pushing the envelope to make sure that we redefine how the function works as well. Over and out. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Yeah.
Thank you, Alex. And maybe a follow-up to you and for the rest of the panel as well is, if we say that learning is becoming just more than training, what are some of the elements from a practical perspective that we need to have within the organization to make sure that the learning continues and that it's always present? What are some of the practical things maybe that we can implement here?
Anyone or
what? Okay. Maybe I can say something about the practical aspect of the learning from this side of organization, because I belong to organization, and we wonder many times, and right now we are wondering how to encourage our employee to learn more and faster. And when I'm coming for IT industry, and in IT industry is imperative to learn more and faster. But I don't think that is not the only main characteristic of IT industry. I think that is the most characteristic of all industry in this time. So right now we have a lots of idea, but I'm not still know what is the right way to engage people. I know the one side, but what I think that is the true way to focus people on learning, that learning materials or learning contents or all the L&D should be people-centric. They became they must start thinking what people really need. Not only what the organization needs. Yeah, it's a big aspect. Without organization, there's no people, there's no money, there's no anything. But we must switch our minds from, okay, what the organization needs, but also what the people needs,
Yeah.
and how to make changes between that gap. But I don't have a right answer. We have lots of try. We really try, encourage our employee to learn more and more. Maybe I can share just one example. For example, we have a lot of IT people who must have a really, really good education pattern, but it's always something pushy. And 3 years ago, we give opportunity to our employer to use the one really good online platform with variety of IT courses. And the use was, and already is totally voluntary, with any obligation. Everyone can use that platform, and we didn't track who use it. What we track the hours spent on education and taken courses. And what happened in these last 3 years? We have a skyrocket the hours spent on learning. Our employee use the platform for improving their skills for upcoming certification, who are the great part of their regular jobs. They use the platform as adds-on. It's something what help him or them, to learn better and to fast through the certification process they have with the vendors. And what else? They figure out that they had opportunities to learn what they want. And not only that they focus and they shift primary interest. When we start with that platform, those primary interest was general, like general management or general project leading or something like that stuff, which are not familiar with IT guys. And in these 2 years, they switched to this specific expertise in their job area. That they realized that they can improve their skills. And in one hand, the organization had a mandatory education, which people must go through. And in the other hand, we give them opportunity to learn what they want to learn. And I think that make, in this moment, a good balance. Maybe because it's something new. I don't know, will this...
Absolutely. And I really love hearing this, that there was an intrinsic motivation from the people coming, that they wanted to learn, they wanted to expand.
Sometimes when you don't force or when you don't obligate it, the results can be even better what you expect then.
Absolutely. Ivana Jan, did you want to add something?
Yes, I just wanted to add, like on my end, there isn't like the perfect formula that will fit in every organization. So I think if we are talking about learning journeys that are like expected from our employees, then it should be like a blend of everything. It should include even the social learning, the e-learning, and all the other content. And often forgotten the feedback from the employees. So we don't know as an HR experts what we don't know. And I think the people are the one who should navigate us towards the great results at the end. So I think when you ask like what are the practical things, there isn't the right formula, but absolutely the thing that Alex also mentioned is we need to think about the learning on how to actually blend into their workflow. So if we even think about making some complex learning journeys, because we're now talking about the blended social face-to-face e-learning, we should always have in focus that the people should stay focused on their operational job, But the bigger question is how to find that learning moments on their daily job. So for me, in my opinion, I think the micro learning is the future to have the continuous learning, everyday learning.
Yes, I agree with Ivana. I think that the focus on micro learning and how we can help people to do their jobs better and how to improve their skills. And not only how they improve their skills, to dare them to improve their skills.
Absolutely.
I have to share with you, if I may jump in, Nick, or interesting learning that we've had in AIHR is that learners actually preferred longer sessions of learning of 15 to 20 minutes per chunk, which was very interesting for me because I also try to build content in a way that it's smaller chunks of content and so on, which was very indicative in the sense of that because of this wave of and attention span that we have, a lot of learning platforms have moved to this micro learning. But in the L&D's roles I've had, people actually complain that they can't go in depth with the content because it's so short. And they needed more space in the learning to be able to really go deeper into a topic, which was for me also counterintuitive versus what I've sort of observed in general. And just one point to what we've mentioned: L&D function will not is not gonna, as you said, it's human centric, but also cannot function in isolation. So I think practical thing is that employees, when we launch platforms, they're usually engaged. It's a big boom, everyone wants it, and then the usage or the hours just plummet or go down, or some people are more engaged than the others. But the key there is to integrate with other HR processes, with HR business partners, to understand where are people going, where are functions going, where are people developing, and how does learning fit into their development plan. So then their people are intrinsically motivated to go and seek learning, rather than us as a L&D function feeding them learning and being like, yeah, this is what we need to learn, and you must, and this is a target, and here's a badge, and so on. And I think if we do collaborate cohesively with others, people will understand how whatever we have as a learning material, how it fits in what they really, really need. Yeah.
Can I just add on that? Because it's a great discussion. You said that some of the people prefer a longer content that can go much in that, but I think you having that in mind, you need to also know the target that you're creating, the learning journey or the content. So I assume maybe the managers, especially if you're acquisition the new skill or the knowledge, you should have a time in a day to understand that, to later to implement it. But so one thing is the target, because if we're looking at the frontline employees as an example, they do not have like in stores time of 20 minutes to learn. So maybe that's the part for the managers. And also the other part is, if we are learning the new skills, knowledges, or something about the behaviors, absolutely the more time is needed. But oftenly in organization is forgotten to reinforce those knowledges. So it's not just like presenting the new information, the new process and whatever, it's continuously reinforcing it. So if we really want to see the behavioral change, it needs to be refreshed continuously. So this is where I think this little bites of content is needed throughout the whole their workflow.
Absolutely. And to our previous point of how there's no really perfect formula, and for everyone watching at home, you have to really understand your learners and your organizations to really find what fits best. And then in a way, we're going, as we look at going from learning events to learning journeys, we're also, as people who provide the learning, we shift from creating content to then creating experiences rather. So maybe my question to you, Ivana Jandrić, is, do we start looking at our learners as customers then? And if so, how does that approach really change the way we create learning in the organization?
I would say absolutely. Like if we as an HR experts expect certain numbers in participation, or even a desire of participants to attend the certain programs, then absolutely we should look at them as our customers. I actually even read recently in some researches that the new skills of the HR will include the marketing skills as well. So and the process for me, it looks similar like for a company launching a new product or a service. it begins with raising the awareness. So I would say the first step, if we want to look as our employees as customers of our learning journey, would be to start with raising the awareness of what do we want to change, why the change is needed. The second step would be to create a desire. So we want the participants to want to be the part of the change. That first two are how to approach it is to create a good communication strategy. So if we are talking about the engagement that we want to see, is really to create a good communication strategy. Even today, some very advanced organization brand their academies, so they try to create a buzz, having the pre-launch communication, the real kickoff events, and then to have different milestones communications as well. I would say the third step would be to serve the knowledge. So it's the knowledge, and then we serve the knowledge, present the knowledge in all the ways that we mentioned. With the blended learning, social learning in practice, and things like that. So it's a blend of everything. And very naturally, the next step would be to give ability to people to actually, when they got the information, they understood the information, is to create the ability to implement those changes. So this is sort of the journey that all of the L&D experts need to go through. But oftenly, as I mentioned earlier, they forget to reinforce those knowledges. So it's not enough to have like a sexy program with all of the new features, gamification, communication, and things like that, because we know that the biggest challenge with the L&D is the forgotten curve. You can get that knowledge high, but throughout the time, people will feel more comfortable going back to their regular behaviors and the way that they do things. So I think focus should be on those reinforcement technologies. We do use that. It does exist, something that it's easily implemented, whether in the front lines or in the managers, something that will keep them refreshed on the things that they went through. So you can have a great MBA speakers on your programs or whatever, but it's not enough if the people won't actually be in the topic after the great program finishes.
Absolutely. And if we talk about really influencing behavioral change, we need to give them more the knowledge. There needs to be an opportunity to really practice the skills and then apply those skills in their work environment. So to that point, it's really important that learning becomes a core element of their daily job. Alex, I think you wanted to chip into this.
I just want to add two things. First of all, even I'm so happy that someone said in L&D that they are using like marketing within L&D, because I found that so successful in different roles in terms of giving a brand to the things that you're doing. How do you communicate? What is the brand actually of the learning organization? I invested relatively not a lot of time, but with a big impact, such as like learning recognitions, interviews with people that taken courses and stuff like that. That was really effective. So I'm very happy to hear that from someone as well, and I really like the way that you've described that. And I just wanted to add that in AIHR, what we try to do, especially with the to guide our thinking in the content design, is to use the model of tell, show, do, apply when we are, for example, building content, to make sure that people basically that we touch on every part of the sort of learning process, and that we build that in the learning journey also. And not only does it help the learners, but also helps us design in a targeted way how someone will acquire that knowledge.
Absolutely. I can also mention about the marketing HR L&D. We really find that we a lot communicated our platform amongst our people through our communication channel. It's called Jans. It's something like a corporative Instagram, and that have a great impact of using the platform as some kind of benefits.
Interesting. So as they use the platform, they get inspired from it. And maybe that's my next question is, how do we really, as we look at the learning journeys and we say, okay, our learners are now our customers and we need to listen to their feedback. We need to constantly upgrade and update our programs and our processes in order to really match their needs and the needs of the organization. But there's one element that's very hard for us to predict. And we've talked about this before. It's the intrinsic motivation of the learner. So this is something it's very hard because it's not within our control. So maybe my question to you, Ivana Ukas, and also everyone else, is how can we really make sure that our learners are motivated throughout that journey and that they don't have so many or so deep spikes within their motivation, but we somehow manage to sustain that and to keep them engaged throughout the journey?
Yeah, I have a great question for right now for all of us. How many people watch this right now? It will be very interesting data, but I don't have a really good answer for that. Just I can say that we should try it. We should motivate it. We should communicate it. We should take a feedback from people and see what is people important and how they see the whole process, not how we see the whole process. I think that's the really most important thing in this process.
I would mention that it's about being employee-centric again, because I also now had a different experience, especially at AIHR, where we had to scale the product team that we have. We have now 12 people, and I've really tried to use my L&D knowledge to make sure that everyone is also upskilled. And there's two things how that I think L&D can help, and I see it now from two angles, sort of. One is, how do I help employee in the career development? So what are these critical things that they need based on the feedback that they're getting or the development plan that they have, and how do we support that? And where does L&D fit? And then it's more functional. How do I enable the team in the flow of work? Where do we deliver presentation skills? Does the team need feedback or project management and so on? So I think it's really about, and what I've also observed at AIHR, we also booked the team learning time that we try to keep on Thursdays for 1 hour to make sure that we also are managing to develop on the job. Sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. It still happens when we don't have like huge workload, but it's still there. And I think that the key here thing is to as a function to understand where the people are moving. So where are the functions moving and what are the skills gaps there? And then also as HR, what are these career paths? What are our talents that we want to upskill, and what is the role of L&D there? So I really think if we really start from the employee and what is it that they're struggling with in the daily job versus where they want to go, I think we have the answers on what we need to build or what kind of knowledge or library we would need to provide. That's in my mind, and also practical just experience with that.
I agree with everything my colleague said. As you mentioned, motivation is something very intrinsic. You cannot say to somebody, Nicola, be motivated and expect he will be, but we can create an environment that is motivational. So with everything that colleague said, being learner-centric, co-create some kind of content with them so they can feel the ownership on their development, and also celebrating the milestones, giving them even the bigger picture, like how does the new skill help the business grow? And if we see the change, especially like if we, for example, do the training on how to having focus like the sales skills, and then we after a certain time see changes in sales, then we communicate that with them, saying, guys, we did a great job this quarter, it's great, it was all it was all you. So this is the best approach to create the environment that can be very motivational. And then of course, if you expect their engagement and for them to give their time to learn, then I think you should also give something back to them as well. So there is also ways to use the gamification and the different appreciation strategies. So this is,
and put all that publicly.
Exactly.
Spread the word.
Spread the words. Absolutely.
I would just also
Or-
add to what Ivana shared. Make it or break it element is also the managers. So if we train on something and then the manager's like, an employee gets feedback training, but then I delivered feedback and it's like, yeah, don't care about that. Like, this is just how we do it. I just go straight for the development points. Or if you don't have them as ambassadors, you sort of are not following the same route. And I think for me, this was a big challenge and also something that I strategically approached. How do I engage the leaders to support whatever I'm saying? And then if the employees are getting training, do I also do the train the manager session where I say, this is what we trained them on, this is how you feedback on it? Because I've seen a lot of times sales training especially fail because, yeah, who cares about the 5 steps or 7 or this technique or handling objections? We do it our way. And then you are this outsider as an L&D organization just sort of thinking you're contributing. But I think also the essence here is also to involve managers and to share the expectations also to share the ownership about the results of the training. So it's not me as an L&D organization, but it's also 50% you and what happens to your people, because this was investment. So I think this was and this is where we just need to be assertive and strategic in how we make sure that we do impact.
Absolutely. So in a way, it's a collaborative process between the L&D professional, the first line manager, the individual, and the entire surrounding around it. And I think once we combine all of those elements, we can then hope to create a culture of learning which will then motivate the employee and have that intrinsic motivation. Awesome. I'm really enjoying this discussion. I want to leave also a couple of minutes for Peter with questions from the audience. So I would ask you, all of you now, what will be your final message, perhaps, for our listeners? What will be your one piece of advice or one tip going forward into 2022 and building learning journeys that really inspire behavioral change? So maybe we can start with you, Ivana.
Yeah. Learning means progress. So keep learning.
Awesome. Keep learning. Thank you.
From my side, it would be the thing that I mentioned in the beginning, to just plan out your learning experience with your learner at the center, and think of how you will maximize the effect of learning, and that you're not alone, but that your role is to partner with the rest of the organization and share the ownership over how we move the organization forward, and that L&D is a strategic function. Okay.
It absolutely is.
I would just add, be patient. Maybe with the first image that you have.
We don't hear.
I'm sorry, Ivana. I think we're losing you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, you're back. We lost you for a sec.
Okay, what I said, just be patient and be prepared to make the changes on the way. So it's not like you're going to done something and it's going to be like that forever. Just, be prepared for a lot of changes, having in mind the feedback from the participants, and, as Ivan also mentioned, just keep learning.
Absolutely. Keep learning, make sure it's a collaborative process, listen to the people, listen to the feedback, learn and adapt. I think these are all very powerful messages. I would like to also open it up now if you have any questions from the audience. I'm not sure if Peter is with us, if he's listening. If we have any questions from the audience, this will be a good time to see what are some of your struggles or challenges. Okay, we have one from Lela. It says, what are the views on the sudden shift or focus solely on online learning? Should companies enforce it? Are there any downsides for only using online learning? I'll open it maybe to the panel, so whoever wants to jump in on this one. What are some of the downsides of too much focus on online learning?
I would just say that the shift isn't sudden. The shift has been something we've been trying to do since like a long time, I think, to digital learning. And also here, I think the question is also, what do we mean by online learning? Do we think about only self-paced learning, or this is also online learning, what we're doing right now? There are downsides in terms of engagement, but there's also a design challenge where you need to think of, how do I engage people in this environment and what techniques do I use? How do I blend that as well? I've also had to shift leadership training I had to do fully online in like when COVID hit, and it was actually much more successful than I thought, because it pushed me to think differently, to make sure people are engaged. And it was a really beautiful session. And at AIHR, we actually had a Christmas party, full day, fully online, and it was like a bartender workshop. We had a comedian coming in. It was the best online event ever. So I would say there are downsides if you don't really plan every detail of it and every interaction to make sure people are engaged. Yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Thanks, Alex.
Yeah.
I see we have
Sorry,
a
go on.
question on marketing.
Yeah,
I would just, and sorry, Peter, you can say.
go for it. It's okay, Ivana, go for it. Up to you.
Okay, so regarding the marketing, what benefits from that is, as I said, it creates a desire from people to really want it to be part of it. And as I said, approaching the marketing, you need to think about the different phases of the project. So the communication is different at the beginning, during the project, and it includes really a lot of things, like, as I said, celebrating the milestones, communicating the first results, and as I said, the results are that the people are more engaged and more in the whole project. So I think the marketing is very, very important.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
yeah. No, I just wanted to say I have on my LinkedIn also like a post where I did a short keynote on marketing and a few examples. So Alexandra, you can check it out, because I don't think we have the time now, but I love this topic and I could talk for another half an hour. But Peter is going to kick us out, I think.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to. I will never.
No.
I will never kick anybody out. In fact, listen, we've actually got a couple more. Tell us a little bit more about that, Alex. Just a little bit more. We've got a couple of minutes. You can.
Yeah.
Expand on that. Tell us.
No, here I think and as Ivana said, it's also different phases of the project. So, for example, what I've used is I would interview people that went through a training and then share it as a communication through the company, or would have out of office auto replies that had an image with a QR code that leads you to a training. So whenever would someone email managers, people will be getting these sort of prompts for learning as well. We also did like a game that followed a big academy where people could just get on the phone and play with as even you said, reinforced learning. So they just had like a test of gamified learning after the academy was done. And also I did like a small reward ceremony for everyone that contributed outside of L&D to the building of the content. So basically I showed to the employees, it's not me or like a L&D function, it's all these managers that I put in front of the stage on like a all hands meeting that took part in building this. And I share the ownership publicly and visibly. So those are just few hints, Alexandra, but happy to chat about it more.
But I mean, just listening to that, Alex, and some of the conversation as well, it really seems like just a little bit of creativity and a little bit of thought. You put that into it, and actually the outcomes can be quite impressive. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun for you as well. You don't feel like you're pushing this huge project on everyone, but people are actually responding. So yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, listen, we are coming towards the end of this session now. It's flown by. I'm sure, as Alex said, all of you, if this session was to go on all day, I'm sure you could certainly fill it all day, but unfortunately we don't have the time for that right now. But naturally, in the future, you're all part of our HR World community, and we look forward to hearing more of your insights in the future. But right now, both Ivana's, Alex, and naturally Nicola as well, thank you so much for sharing your insights and naturally for your time as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
So there we have it, another intriguing panel, this time all about engaging learning experiences and ways to really inspire that behavioral change. And again, all our panelists, all our speakers, in fact, you're curious, you want to know more, you want to maybe reach out to them. I'm sure they'd all be happy for you to reach out to them over LinkedIn. And remember, on the HR library, in there you find all extra material. Like Alex has just said, I'm sure you can find more on what he's doing and all our other speakers as well. You can jump in there, download what's right for you, what's relevant for you, take it away. And by doing that, remember, you gain credit. So all the things you do on this platform, all the engagement, the more engagement you do by downloading, by visiting, by sharing your perspectives, by getting involved in networking sessions, for example. All those things and much, much more, you gain credits. You get 100 credits, and then you get yourself a free masterclass. Right, we're going to have a short break right now. But after this short break, we'll move on to the networking session. So remember, you choose one of 3 sessions. All you have to do right now is go to the agenda, click on the agenda, and you will see straight in front of you 3 different options, 3 different networking sessions. You choose the one that's relevant for you, that you want to get involved with. And when that starts to unfold with a moderator, a host who will be leading that discussion, you then have the chance to share your opinion, your perspective, and share the things that your insights that are relevant for you, and naturally hear others as well. After that, we've got the HR Expo Zone, a perfect opportunity to relax a little bit more with a cup of coffee or over lunch. In fact, as you stroll through that HR Expo Zone, we have more than 100 vendors. Check them out, start the conversations, book meetings, and again, see where the match is, and perhaps a collaboration, maybe not right now, but certainly in the future. I'll leave you right now to do that. We'll be back here a little bit later at 12 for more HR Week 2021.